Da dun da dun da 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 dum da dun da 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 dum. Bizarre Brain Comics. Da dun da dun da 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 ha 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 da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum. Hello, hello. This is Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk about the creators, break down the stories and the art. Okay, and this time we're going to talk about one that's one of my favorites. This is from DC Comics, 1974, Superman number 276. And here it is. Here's the cover. And this is entitled Make Way for Captain Thunder. This is always a favorite of mine, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. This was written by Elliot S. Maggin. That's S with an exclamation point. Elliot S. Maggin, and drawn by the late, great Curt Swan, who is my favorite Superman artist, penciler. It was inked by Bob Oxner and edited by the great Julius Schwartz. Julius Schwartz. Kind of difficult to say that without putting too many shushes in there. I guess that's why they just called him Julie. Now, about 30 years or so ago, I had the privilege of meeting both Curt Swan and Julius Schwartz very briefly at a local comic shop. They had them and some other creators, including the great Sergio Aragonis. They were there for a signing, and I got there and I got to meet them briefly. Spoke with Julie Schwartz. Unfortunately, I didn't at the time. I did not realize the influence he had on comics in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And I didn't speak with him very much, but I did know Curt Swan, and I got to speak with him briefly when he stepped outside for a cigarette. And I'll tell you more about that at another time. And but the writer is Elliot S. Maggin. At this time, he was I'm not going to go into a whole lot of background on these creators. But Maggin is also a novelist, and he several years ago, before he passed away, he did the novelization of that's prose novelization of the Kingdom Come miniseries, and did a great job on that. And like I said, Curt Swan is great. He's just my favorite Superman artist, especially when his pencils are inked by Murphy Anderson. Unfortunately, he did not do the inking on this issue. But those two together just go so well. Bob Oxner did a commendable job on the inks here. Some are not as good. Some inks are not as good on his stuff, but no one could ink Curt Swan's pencils better than Murphy Anderson. I just had to say that. Okay. And Curt Swan, through the late 60s, early 70s, through the 70s and early 80s, Curt Swan was the primary Superman artist, penciler. Of course, there were a lot of others who because there were so many different titles in which he appeared in, but he was the primary Superman penciler over that period of time, and it really influenced the look. He took over the look of the character. He took over after Wayne Boring in the 60s. And previously he had done Superboy, various other stuff, and Legion of Superheroes in the 50s. So it's not like he was new to this material when he started drawing it. Okay. So let us go take a look within the pages here of Superman 276. Make way for Captain Thunder. Okay, and here is the cover. A better view of the cover of that of this issue. I'm just going to angle it so you don't get quite as much glare. And this is and the cover is drawn beautifully by Nick Carty. I really like this cover because it sees these two powerful beings flying head to head straight at one another at incredible speeds, and they're both incredibly powerful, and it's just a split second before they would make devastating impact, with all the crowd just scattering. It's a good cover and really catches the eye. Now, this character here, you might think he looks a little familiar. Yeah, well, we'll get into that. But for a second, I want to talk more about Elliot Maggin. Okay, during the when the Superman movie starring Christopher Reeve, first one was actually 1 and 2, was in production. It was written by Mario Puzo, although he's given credit for it, who was the author of The Godfather. But his early story passed through so many hands. By the time it got to the screen, it bore very little resemblance. But Mario Puzo had a lot of clout, and he demanded he get sole credit for the story, for writing credit, and also it was in his contract that it cannot be adapted to any other form, such as comics or novels. If it does, he will get an extra $1 million. And they said, no way. Yeah, there's that Superman. That is action figure that was issued in conjunction with the Superman movies. And it was a gift from my good friend Dean. Thanks, Dean. He gave it to me, probably over 30 years ago. Anyway, so Elliot, they really liked to, especially at this time, issue novelizations of what they thought were going to be some of the bigger movies at the time, and but they couldn't do that. So what they did is they commissioned Elliot S. Maggin, who was, as I said, one of the primary Superman writers at this time. And he wrote for Superman. He wrote an original novel, which is Last Son of Krypton. Of course, has the Christopher Reeve photo cover, as well as a photo section here from the movie. But it's not based on the movie, although it does cover, a good part of it covers the origin of Superman, and his primary villain in this is Lex Luthor. And then with Superman 2, he wrote this novel, Miracle Monday, by Elliot S. Maggin. And in conjunction, at the time, I was kind of disappointed in that because I wanted to read a novelization of the movie. But afterwards, I was glad for this, so that there's more original material in text form. I just wanted to show that to you. Okay, here we go. Make way for Captain Thunder. Here, and we start with this something bright appearing, and it's this little boy in a red shirt. and his name is Willie Fawcett, and he appears in this alley in Metropolis. He looks overhead, and there's Superman, and what the heck? Because this is new to him. He goes, "Creepies! Who's that?" And this guy says, "What's the matter, kid? You ain't never seen Superman?" Well, he doesn't know anything about Superman. He's curious, and tries to get he takes a bus, and he's to the address that he knows for where he works at a TV station. Well, it's TV all right, but it's Galaxy Communications. It's not his place, and he's so surprised that the price of the fare is so high. It's never been like that before. And then there's another view of Superman. He's taken off after this weird-looking translucent critter, but Superman knows it's just an illusion with his super senses. But he's got to try to do something because it's panicking the people. Well, he also realizes that it's probably a ruse for something else. Meanwhile, Willie here, little Willie Fawcett, he sees, well, there's this helicopter, and they're robbing this armored car. Well, he's got to do something about it, and he quickly grabs his belt buckle, rubs it, and says, "Thunder!" and then shaboom! And suddenly he's transformed into this big, muscular, heroic figure that kind of looks familiar. And he takes off, but instead of being the heroic type, like he's supposed to be and like he was intending to be, he winds up helping the crooks. Well, Superman's still dealing with that illusion and getting rid of it, so he takes off after this big red cheese fella and chases him down, and they get into a little scuffle. And he throws the truck right at Soups, and he touches his belt, cries "Thunder!" Shaboom! And suddenly Willie's back on the street and go, "Creepies! How did I get here? I can't remember a thing that happened." And then Superman puts the armored car back and takes off. Now I've just been talking about the story here, but you see these figures. Oh, his great Superman figure, and on this Captain Thunder figure is just like Superman. And it's a great figure, same proportions and everything. And there's a classic Curt Swan Superman taking off shot. I love that. In fact, I used that for something in a painting I did several years ago. Then shortly later, back in his office as Clark Kent, well, here comes Willie Fawcett. He says, "Can you help me?" So I got to talk about. My name is Willie Fawcett, and I'm a friend of Captain Thunder. And it shows him in the picture. It's the same guy that Superman just had dealings with. Now Willie explains. If I can turn the page, and here we go. Flashback, origin of Captain Thunder, orphan boy Willie. On a camping trip with other orphans. He follows an owl he somehow knows he's supposed to follow. He goes to a cave. It opens. There's an old Indian shaman there. He says, been waiting for you, Willie. And he gives him this magic belt buckle. Says he should be having great power to do good. And here's the name that you will take from these things. Here's the first letter. From tornado, power, hair, speed, Uncas, bravery. Now, Uncas is from the last of the Mohicans. Nature, wisdom, diamond, toughness, eagle, flight, and ram for tenacity. And okay. He puts the belt on, rubs the belt buckle, says thunder, and shaboom! He is Captain Thunder. And then the old Indian turns to a spirit, and off he goes. And then Willie tells how he fought for truth and justice and saving people and all this stuff, and he was fighting this monster squad. with a Frankenstein monster, werewolf, Dracula, etc. In another dimension, captured them, and took off and was headed home. And when he got here, it was here. Now, all this origin might sound familiar. It's because it is the origin of Captain Marvel, Shazam, better known as Shazam today. Okay? And this was 1974. Put that in there. Just remember, this is 1974. This is just a few months after DC Comics got the rights and started publishing Shazam comics with Captain Marvel. And you can see here the character looks just like Captain Marvel, except he has a sunburst on his chest rather than lightning, and a belt rather than a sash around his middle. But the origin is basically the same. Now, I can say, look at this. Look at this. My 13-year-old self wrote my name on the book in my old style of autograph there. I can still recognize it as me, and probably an expert probably could too. But my signature has changed quite a bit over the decades. Anyway, so this is basically a parody of Shazam's Captain Marvel. And I can imagine, and of course they had just recently started republishing the character, and I think that they come up with this idea. It's a little bit of a crossover, but they didn't want to tarnish Captain Marvel's reputation with this kind of a story. So he's basically a Captain Marvel knockoff. This is a real nice, you can see very similar type of figure taking flight, similar to the way he shows his Superman. And some great work. Here's great Clark Kent. Now, we were talking about this Superman movie of just a little bit ago, and starring Christopher Reeve. Well, it turns out that besides being an excellent actor at the time, one of the reasons Christopher Reeve was cast, even though he was a tall, skinny, lanky kid, one of the reasons he was cast as Superman is because he bore a fairly strong resemblance to Superman Clark Kent, the way Curt Swan drew him. And you can kind of see it there. So, Clark and Lois take Willie, and they're going off. They're going to see something. Because he says, Superman says, or Clark says, there's no record of a Captain Thunder ever here, and this is also 20 years later than the time of Willie Fawcett and Captain Thunder. Now here, even in his name, Willie Fawcett is a nod to Fawcett Publications, who originated Shazam Captain Marvel, and he originated in Whiz Comics. And the title of Whiz Comics was taken from Captain Willie's Whiz Bang. So we got Willie and Fawcett. I mean, it's convoluted, but you know the story, you can see it. Okay. Now here's something going on, another kind of robbery going on in the basement, and Clark sees it. He's got to come up with an excuse to take off. I'll go get Willie a hamburger. I bet he's hungry. Changes to Superman. And Willie was just automatically, he realizes something is going on and changes to Captain Thunder without thinking, because all these cops are everything on their Thunder, shaboom! And here's Captain Thunder again. And look at this. This is great impact. This is kind of like the payoff from that cover illustration, except it's Curt Swan. Look, great figures. Look at power in those figures. Boom! While the gangsters take off. And then Superman leads Captain Thunder away. See, also, the name here, Captain Thunder. When Captain Marvel was first being developed, his original name was going to be Captain Thunder. But there was also another character with Thunder in the name at the time, so they changed it. Although they did do, just for a small print run, just for copyright reasons, of the first story as Captain Thunder, but it was never released. It was all changed to Captain Marvel and etc. So here they are. Superman leads Captain Thunder away from the city to avoid too much damage in the city. Tricks him into this heavy, moisture-laden cloud. Using his super breath, he freezes the crystals. But it's nothing to Captain Thunder. He smashes right out. Gets a hold of Zoops and wings him around. Again, look at these figures. And this battle. The fight, this battle of these two titanic figures. It is very, very reminiscent of the superhero battle between Superman and the rogue Kryptonians in Superman 2. I can't help but think that every time I look at this. And speaking of Shazam Captain Marvel, there is an ad for a Shazam book. And you can really, really see the similarity in those characters. So, they basically takes out the top of this mountain, kasloom, splam, and it still has virtually no effect on Captain Thunder. And here's another big impact. Big impact. You can see the power because these two figures are so powerful. And the way they fight and struggle here, flinging around in the sky, then crash down to Earth. Just exactly, the almost exact sequence did happen in Superman 2. Except I was in the street in Metropolis. So Superman takes off again. He's got another plan. And Captain Thunder says, "You're not going to fool me with that ice crystal freezing the cloud trick again." But no, Superman's got something else in mind. But this, he's taking a hint from the gangsters that he met from the very first beginning of the story, is that this is just a little distraction. He rubs his super friction from rubbing his hands in a storm cloud already filled with charged particles, and he's above. Captain Thunder is below and creates a bolt of lightning, which zaps him. But of course, he just shrugs off. "Here he comes. So far, so good. Now it's my turn. I'm going to drag you into that storm cloud." And they're fighting, struggling. And Superman grabs his hand. He's got him to say, "And yet your super ears ringing with a tremendous burst of," gets his hand down to rub the belt buckle, "thunder." Tricked him into saying that. "Ha! My trick worked." And shaboom! And then they hear some laughter. And he turns back into Willie Fawcett. Superman catches him. Goes, "Okay, I've got an idea. We're going to take care of this and look at this great figure. Great figure. Right there. The great visual storytelling, the artwork, the anatomy. I mean, it's just everything is great. We didn't see much in the way of female figures in here, but Curt Swan was magnificent with female figures as well. Very lovely, without being overly sexy, as some artists would do. It says, "I don't know, but there's a way to find out by using the natural wisdom of Captain Thunder." So he gets him in a hold. Has Willie rub his belt buckle and say the magic word, shaboom! And here he is. Oh, here's another great image of the two titans struggling. He's got Captain Thunder in a full Nelson. He can't break out of it. Neither, as Superman says, "No, must break free. Must break. Never. If one of us is stronger, the difference is too small to measure, and I won't budge." So he forces him to think about how he got there, what's going on, and Thunder figures it out. Something happened going through interdimensional space. He says, loosen up so I can rub my belt. And he says the magic word thunder, and shaboom, and he's gone. So he's managed to transport back to his own world. Now I wanted to really show you this face here, because Captain Marvel, Shazam, was originally modeled after the actor, all of a sudden I cannot think of his name. Star of My Three Sons. I'm drawing a blank. I'm getting old. Anyway, which is what, and you can really see it looks just like that actor right here in this face too. Unless people don't think I'm an idiot, but I know his name. I just cannot think of it at the moment. Anyway, so here we are. Boom. Epilogue. Is Captain Thunder is back home. Everything's relatively okay. Clark is out with Lois, and she says chastises him for running off to get food and didn't even invite her. So she talks him into going into this restaurant. Gets them both a dinner. They each get a steak, and then she's horrified that he puts ketchup on the steak. Says, that sounds good to us. I'd like to try that. Ooh. And that's it. That's all that story. Some great artwork. I think it was very, very creatively written, well composed, well thought out by Elliot S. Maggin. And Maggin, Curt, no, I can't think of his. Cary Bates, that's what I'm thinking, was also one of the big writers at that time. And they had a tendency to, what I think is good, is show Superman doing super feats often in a story, but not related directly to the plot. Because it really shows that Superman is not just after the gangster or the super criminal, but he's always out there helping everyone. Averting natural disasters, helping the victims of natural disasters as well as crimes, tornadoes and earthquakes, tsunamis. He's always there to help out, which is what Superman's first Call of Duty, you might say, is. Okay, that's all I got for that. Curt Swan, Elliot S. Maggin, Superman, and Captain Thunder, Captain Marvel, Shazam knockoff. And I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. Be worth looking at if you ever find this for cheap somewhere. It's a fun read. Some great artwork, great storytelling. And what can I say? Like, share, and subscribe. Share it with your other comic book friends. They're sure to enjoy it. And remember, comics are art. Da dun da 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 dun da 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 dun da 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 da.